Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Obviously, I'm going to be in the chat. There was, I think, a resounding vote that you like the premieres. I like the premieres. I like that we can all chat together, and then the comments can come later. I hope you can hear me. There's a slight breeze hitting us from that side, so I've got the camera angled. Let's have some mischief, shall we? Now, you're going to have to indulge me a little bit because I am going to be mischievous in this video. After yesterday's video, and I was reading a lot of your comments, you really tripped my imagination as to, like, Meghan wanting to inherit its Althorp. I looked that up. Apparently it's got some sort of Danish Viking name. That's where it comes from. So I'll call it Althorp throughout the video. What is Althorp? Well, it's huge. They call it Althorp House. House is an understatement. That's like a lot of people in England, myself included, we call Buckingham Palace Buck House for short. Loads of people do that. There's no house about it though, is there? It's a palace, and so is Althorp. And interestingly enough, in Wikipedia, although it is listed as Althorp House, they constantly refer to it as the palace throughout the whole page. So we're talking a palatial estate. So forget it, just the palace part of it. There are other buildings on the estate. The estate is gigantic. They've got some kind of dark coloured deer. I remember seeing that, which are quite rare. It's a lovely estate, and it has enormous history. So why would Meghan and Harry be interested? Now, I'm not saying they are. I'm just being mischievous. What might they want from Uncle Charles and Althorp Estate? Well, let's examine, shall we? Because I've been having fun this afternoon, and I think that you will enjoy this one. The benefits of living at Althorp for Meghan and Harry. Well, firstly, let's go back to what Meghan knows. You know, I've talked about biorhythms, and people have a habit. She can't get any acting parts. She hasn't managed to get any sort of regular gig like Suits, so that's gone out the window. She's done the full loop. She's come back to the TIG. She's an Instagram loving bitch again. Only just got over 3 million, and as ever, which we all know, which Lady C calls was never, has still not even hit 1 million followers. So, and I double checked the website, everything's still sold out. So her idea of the TIG, you know, that as ever thing, it's not really brought anything. Now, where did she start coming to the UK? Oh, that's right. She made friends with people like Lizzie Cundy and some other PR people, including Piers Morgan. And she said, I want to find a British husband. And so she did, didn't she? She said she wanted a British husband, if I recall right. And she said it's because they're so quaint, nothing to do with titles or anything like that. And she very successfully bagged the noblest family in the land, no less than the royal family. She bagged a dim-witted prince, as we all know. As we all know as well, they've either been booted out or left years ago, and they can't get back in. There are literal king's guards that she's got to get through to get into that family, and that family have made it clear they do not want to know. What a quandary she would find herself in. The money's running out, and I do believe their money is running out. I've believed this for a long time. People like that can live on tick for a very, very long time. I've mentioned this before. We had a prince, well, he was the King of England. He was Prince in Brighton, Prinny, and he lived in the Royal Pavilion, and he ran up serious debt across the town and in other towns. Tailors, jewelers, you name it, this guy ran up debt, and people allowed him credit just because he was a member of the royal family. Of course, they did get quite fed up. and the money was paid back. I think there are archives and stuff. You can actually, Royal Collections, I think, have got a list of all of his debts that had to be paid off once he became the monarch. So members of the royal family, they can run up debt. I mean, they walk into a showroom with Lamborghinis, for example, and he says, I'm Prince Harry. My father's the King of England. I mean, come on. It's not going to be a normal credit check like it is for you and me. So I've believed for at least the last couple of years the money has been running out. We all know that he's been fighting for security. He spent a fortune on legal fees to get that security. He basically wants free security. We all know he wanted the IPP status back. Well, that's off the table. It's not on the table. Oh dear. Maybe everything isn't on the table after all. Right. So, if Meghan can't get back into the palaces and castles and get to the Windsors, perhaps she would be more successful getting access to an earl who has his own palace. Do you see where this is going? And quite shockingly, actually. Now, Earl Spencer, I know someone in the comments said, oh, only people who are very old would remember Diana was Lady Diana and lived at Althorp. Well, I'm old enough to remember it. Now, he gave an address, as sort of a sermon, eulogy, whatever, at her funeral, which was really rather scathing and stinging towards the Windsor family, and they had to sit there and take it. I was really shocked today to find out that they actually sell copies of that eulogy or whatever it's called, and it's £25 a copy. So there surely must still be a little bit of friction between Earl Spencer and the Windsors, a little bit. I mean, to actually have it printed and bound and sell it in a book, I'm pretty sure I've got that right. I mean, correct me if I've got anything wrong in the comments, because you all know I do get stuff wrong and I do fuck things up. So yeah, Meghan can get access to a man who owns a palace on a big estate, which has many properties on that estate. As we all know, one of them was vandalised, or I don't know if it was arson. Earl Spencer apparently said it was arson or vandals on his Instagram, but someone saying that on Instagram isn't quite the same as police saying, yes, we've arrested and charged someone and this is what happened. It seems a bit early days to me to say that sort of thing, but one of the buildings caught fire and these things do happen. So that was just one of the buildings on the property. There are lots of buildings on that property. So I'll just run through some bullet points and then we can go into it in a little bit more detail, each bullet point. So basically, for Meghan, it's got all the Disney, it ticks all the boxes, doesn't it? She could run through the grass with the deer singing either a Snow White song or the Disney tune, barefoot, with picking lemons and just being cray-cray. And in her mind, she would be a princess of a palace. Presumably, they could live there rent-free. They might pitch it like, oh, we just want a little cottage. I mean, they could even renovate that one that burnt down, couldn't they? Harry could come along and say, I'll renovate. I really hope you can hear me over this wind because it's starting to pick up a bit. But Harry could say, oh, Uncle Charles, I could renovate that. Me and Meghan had fixed that up. You know, there was a little cottage called Frogmore and we fixed that up just nice a few years ago. But then we all know if that were to happen, and this is all bullshit. This is all in my imagination. But I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine? It would start off with, oh, I just want a little cottage, and then, oh, I want to move to the big house, and then Lady of the Manor. There will be security at Althorp. Serious security. They have an extensive library and an art collection. There are many, many valuables, as well as the property itself. Now, I looked this up, and the cost of security for the average stately home, depending, I mean, it varies, but just a loose ballpark figure for just manpower, between $250,000 and $500,000 a year. That's pretty substantial. That's for security wages. But I also looked up some of these security websites, and a lot of them do rely on technology. They probably have forest cams positioned all around the property because it is a more effective way of doing it. I'll try and move the camera here. Oh, the papers. It's all worked out on paper, but my paper just blew away. Oh look, you can see my chairs there now. Is that better? Can you hear me now? Right, so they probably have those little forest cams all over the place. I'm going to get my piece of paper because I've made a load of notes. This is typical. There's been no wind at all, and as soon as I start recording, it's spooky. So they're having to pay for security anyway at Althorp. So would Harry need to pay for security anymore? I wouldn't mind betting if Uncle Charles were to play along with this one and say, well, do you know what, Harry? Yeah, you can. You and your missus can move into the gardener's cottage. I could see Harry saying something like, oh, well, I can come to the UK after all. Thank goodness for Uncle Charles. You know, because that would be a double barrel to his father. It would cause shit. It would make the royal family look bad to some people, an ever shrinking population of believing crap that Harry and Meghan come out with. But it would make the Windsors look bad, like, oh, they've been evicted. But good old Uncle Spencer, who gave that eulogy, has taken Harry and his missus and kids under his wing. So the old boy has come back to the UK after all. So that's free security, rent-free. Even if they had to do a bit of renovation, he could get a bit of tick. It would solve his Councillor of State problem, wouldn't it? He'd suddenly be living back there. They'd save face because it would be palatial, wouldn't it? And I mean, the other thing is, old Uncle Charles, he likes to get married quite a lot. I don't want to disparage the guy, but I mean, I'm not really up on him. Isn't he on wife number 4 or 5 at the moment? So, you know, that brings me back to Meghan's talent at the beginning. She has certain hidden talents. And I mean, an uncle's an uncle, innit? I think they've been uncles before. Oh, this is awful. I might actually have to stop the video and then start recording inside or go somewhere else. Well, I'll have to listen back to it. So, let's go through the list of properties, shall we? Just a few. Apparently, there are 28 properties on the estate. But some of those are like memorial type plaques. So, and I don't know how many of them are. One of them is a former falconry, which is where they would have had all the birds of prey. But I mean, it says former falconry, so I don't know if anybody lives there, if it's a grace and favour. I don't know if it's, because they open this place to the public now, don't they? There's also the gardener's house. That's another one. There's a west lodge and an east lodge. And there's a stable block, and I see that in the, I think it was the First or Second World War, when the government were commandeering stately homes, apparently Althorp, no, the Earl at the time said, no, you can have the stables. And the actual, oh, excuse me, the actual house itself, the palace, I mean, let's make no mistake about it. What is the definition of a palace? If it ain't Althorp, I don't know what is. The actual palace has 90 rooms. Now, I think Buckingham Palace has about 183 bedrooms, so that's obviously bigger, but Althorp is nothing to be sneezed at. Plus, they have all sorts of events and stuff going on all year round. And there's another bonus for Meghan. Yes, you guessed it. In order to run and manage a big estate like that, there have to be staff. In Meghan's mind, more servants. So that gives her a whole new set of people to bully, boss around, and play lady of the manor. Now, none of this is ever going to happen. It's never going to happen. I mean, Earl Spencer, I've no idea what he's like as a character. I see some of you guys know him or have met him, or you have your opinions. Some of you think he's a nice guy, some of you think not. I have no opinion one way or the other. But I will tell you this. These stately homes, quite often the roof goes. There is tremendous expense, maintenance. I've spoken about this before. How basically the current owner is inheriting something that is in their custody, and they are just a custodian of it during their lifetime. and they're painfully aware that they must try and leave the house in a better condition for their heir apparent. And Charles Spencer, of course, has an heir apparent. He has lots of kids. So there's going to be no inheritance going on for Harry. And I'm just imagining the type of character that Earl Spencer is. He's not even going to entertain the idea that Harry would ever have any inheritance. And of course, Harry's mother was Lady Diana before she married Prince Charles. So I don't think that Harry or William have any titles from the Spencer family. Their titles are from the royal family. But it would be a kind of a face-saving exercise. Do you see what I mean? Put yourself in Harry and Meghan's shoes just for a minute. What would you prefer if you knew you're about to hit rock bottom in front of the whole world? You want to avoid that shopping trolley shop with the Daily Mail at all costs. You do not want the Daily Mail taking pictures going, ha, look at them, they live in a bedsit now, right? You're on the bones of your arse. Wouldn't it be a face-saving exercise to go and stay in an ancestral home such as Althorp, which is a palace with a huge estate? But can you imagine the mayhem if this were to ever happen? That actually not only Meghan, but Harry also would wreak havoc on the entire Spencer family. Now, I think they're quite a large family. I think Charles has quite a few children. I should have looked this up before doing the video. I think he's got at least 2 sons and 2 daughters. He may have more than that. I'm pretty sure that the guy has been married 3 or 4 times, and he's actually going through a divorce, and he's moved some other lady in with him. I think she's sort of an archaeologist or something, but his previous wife has been cataloguing and doing the house up. I mean, of course, it's their personal business, isn't it? I don't want to cast aspersions one way or another, but he does seem to get married an awful lot. So there's loads of kids. There'll be loads of ex-wives. Then, of course, there are his 2 sisters and their children. Then there are things like the Spencer tiara, which the females wear when they get married. I'm not sure if Earl Spencer has given that to his brides, which ones or all of them, I don't know. But it's a girl thing that they have the Spencer tiara. There's a lot of artifacts in that house. Nail them down. If old Megsy and Hazza were to move in, hide the silver, lock the library. I mean, they're an illustrious family. I believe George Washington was one of their ancestors. Winston Churchill as well. I think James the First or second. I mean, they're a big family. They've basically been. There's a few of these big sort of dynastic type noble families in England. The Norfolks, of course, are another one. There were 2 Norfolk girls, I think, that married King Henry. One being Anne Boleyn and I think the other Catherine Howard. And of course it ended very, very badly in both. So in olden days, there were always these sort of power struggles between these big dynastic families. And the Spencers would have been no different. They are one of the biggies. And these families survive for a reason. Because they're clever, they're ruthless. And as I say, Charles Spencer will have had to kind of use his nous and think, right, got to fix the roof. I mean, it's no joke. He's also got a lot of pressure on his shoulders. He's got staff. He's got to make sure he's got the wages for them at the end of the week. It's an enormous responsibility. So love him or hate him, not only he, but other earls and dukes and people, ordinary people who have a very big building and they have to maintain that. That takes a lot of, you've got to think carefully, you've got to be strategic. It's not the kind of thing you want to put in Harry's hands. Oh my God, would you? Would you? Come on. I mean, come on. I'm sure Charles Spencer loves Harry, but no chance. He'd be more likely to give him a packet of crayons and say, just sit down there in the corner. And old Megsy, she'd cause havoc, wouldn't she? She would cause merry bloody hell, I can imagine. All the staff getting upset. all his children and his relatives and their friends getting upset. I mean, I heard about some sort of event that she was supposed to be organised, shoot, before she and Harry got married at Sandringham, and she screamed some girl out because she wanted red blankets and they were the wrong shade of red or something like that. I mean, can you imagine that kind of shenanigans and nonsense going on? I reckon they would be booted faster than they were out of Windsor Castle and Buckingham Palace. Also, the other thing, I mean, I don't want any of you to panic and think any of this is ever going to happen, because it's not. I'm sure that whatever Charles Spencer is, he is savvy. He's not stupid. And I bet you he's sat off and he has watched this whole debacle unfold. And the idea of Harry changing his name could have been to kind of butter up Uncle Charles. Sounds like a sort of Megsy idea, doesn't it? Oh, go and see him and tell him you want to use his name. And then she could, I mean, if they did move there, she could go and roll around all over Diana's grave every fucking day, couldn't she? Morning, noon and night. She could be there kissing it and going, oh, your mum told me this and your mum told me that. Your mum said you need to cut off your right testicle and give it to me. Oh no, that's right, she did that. We already did that at the wedding, 2018, wasn't it? Was it 2017? Oh, she'd love it, wouldn't she? So it does make me wonder. Of course, the name change, I think he would lose all his titles. And as I say, there's no Spencer title in it for him. But they're gonna call themselves whatever they like. I do wonder, I think this is some sort of weird Harry Windsor strategy. And it's also Megsy thinking, holy shit, the bailiffs could be at the door soon. And where the hell are we going to go? Plus, they might want to leave the States for other reasons. I mean, I don't know. There are other YouTubers that cover topics like that kind of thing, legalities and bills that you have to pay. So I don't know. They might want to leave the States for multiple reasons. And as I say, neither Harry nor Meghan have said any of this. This is just, it's really caught my imagination, actually. The very idea of it, the thought of the Spencers and the Markles living under one roof, it's kind of amusing, actually. I think it could turn, if something like that were to happen, it could turn quite spicy quite quickly. I'm not sure that the good staff of Althorp would be as patient or as discreet as to not go running to the press and say, she said this and she did that and I don't like her and she's horrible and she's upsetting everybody. I mean, and I suspect as well Earl Spencer would want rent, but in their little pea brains they might think family, you know, well, daddy gave me free accommodation most of my life. Hello, B. You know, why can't Uncle Charles, you know, in his pea brain. And the security, I mean, the security, I'll tell you what, they'd bloody need extra security at Althorp if she and Harry were living there. They'd have to put trackers on them, you know, an ankle tag, so they can watch them on a security guard can watch them like a couple of flashing dots on a screen. Oh, they're in the library. Quick, get on the cameras, check the books. So yes, and I mean, well, I personally think she's nuts. I could see her sort of wafting down the grand staircase in a great big long sack of a nightie, barefoot, hair all strewn. I'm going to see Diana. I'm going to lay on her grave. I could just see it. Driving the whole family mad. Right, so I want to know from you guys, do you think that this is actually maybe something that Harry and Meghan have contemplated or are thinking about doing? And do you think, well, I mean, I'd love to know if we had anybody who was an expert in titles. I know some people have mentioned YouTubers that are lawyers. That's great, but as I say, it's a very, very, very specific area of law to do with titles and stuff like that. And I just think that, and it occurred to me last night while we were in the chat, if he were to do a statutory declaration, any titles that he puts on it, I think would replace the real titles so that it would become nothing. He'd kind of dethrone himself. I think that might be how it works. I don't know. You'll have to check that one out with an expert who knows what they're talking about. And I mean, the thought of Meghan thinking, oh, Earl Spencer, or he gets married a lot, oh, he'd be a lot easier than William. She could find out what his favourite perfume is, couldn't she? I mean, you never know. I reckon she'd be in with quite a good chance there. He seems to have a bit of a revolving door when it comes to wives, doesn't he? As I say, not that I want to disparage the guy. I don't know what's gone on. Obviously, I don't know his private business or what he does, but I mean, it's a lot of times. He's been married and divorced a lot of times. Oh my God, she could have all sorts of magazines coming in and taking photographs of her in her loony outfits all over the place. I think that, if Earl Spencer ever sees this video, I hope I'm not deterring you, Charles, from, giving them refuge and saying, no room at the inn here for you two. I wouldn't want to put you off the idea, dude. It could be highly amusing, well, for the rest of us watching. Probably not for you. And they could fix up the cottage that's just burned down. I mean, it could be a win-win, couldn't it? Now, the other thing I wanted to mention, because a lot of you have brought this up, is that before Diana died, apparently she asked him if she could go and live at Althorp, and that he'd said no. Right, now, this is important because someone left a comment a couple of years ago on one of my videos about this very subject, and they seemed really, really well informed of what the situation was, and they said that was not the case. It was far more complicated situation than that. I can't remember what their explanation was, but it was really long-winded, really involved, and it made sense to me. I don't believe that he just said, no, you can't stay at Althorp. I'm not sure he could stop her, really. I mean, come on. I think it was to do with practicalities, and it was maybe to do with security, but I honestly can't remember what it was that the person said. But there was an explanation. Perhaps that person still watches and they could leave a comment. And if you do, then I will pin it so everybody can read it, because sometimes newspapers say something and that just goes down as fact when it's not actually the case. So I say that for what it's worth as well. I mean, can you imagine the look on everybody's face if the Earl were to announce Meghan and Harry are coming to live with us all? So there are many benefits to these two sponges, shall we say, moving into the estate. And of course, they wouldn't want to do any work, would they? And that would be just the beginning, once she's in there. Like I say, woman of many, many hidden talents, apparently. Not quite sure what, but that's what I've heard. I mean, what's the expression? Bob's your uncle, a couple of uncles. Let's go for it. Why not? I told you this one was going to be mischievous. But I mean, all day I've been just imagining this and thinking, well, where are they coming from with this? Because the Windsors won't let them in. They won't let them in. Those people literally live in fortified castles and palaces. Hey, Spencer, if you're watching, I think you better up your security. Get a police cordon or something on the main gate. I mean, guarding those kind of properties must be a nightmare because they're such vast estates. Imagine the perimeter, how much it would cost to build a wall. And I mean, no matter how tall the wall is, someone can always get over. Most of these estates don't have a wall. They might have a bit of fencing or they have shrubbery. But I mean, people can wander on. So I mean, it's a bloody nightmare. I think the best thing really is geese. I've heard of people before who have a large country property and they get geese. Geese make a lot of noise when there's an intruder on the property. And then, in fact, I think, yeah, it was a famous gangster, wasn't there? He had geese, and I think there was an undercover police officer or something broke into his garden, and the geese went mad, and he went outside, and I think he shot him. I think that's what happened. I can't remember the guy's name now. Some of you might remember that. So I mean, these for me, it would be a nightmare living in a property in the middle of nowhere. I'd be awful. I'd be up all night, checking all the windows. I'd turning all the lights off, because when you got the lights on at night, people can see in, but you can't see out. I'd be turning all the lights out. I'd have binoculars. I'd be looking into the dark, see if anybody's there. I'd be, you know, it's like kind of my worst nightmare, the thought of living somewhere like that. So you would have to have security, and I mean the cost of the security is phenomenal, because again it's a payroll really. Not that I really want to divulge any security measures that generally stately homes have, but well, it's food for thought, isn't it? It is food for thought. So she likes to wheedle her way in with families of nobility. She's already done it with one. She'd like to live rent-free. Harry would definitely like free security, lots of staff to boss around, and possibly Uncle Charles might have a shine, take a shine to Meghan, and then she could be Lady Spencer. Oh, what a horrible thought. And Diana will be rolling over and over and over and over in her grave, especially as Meghan hurls herself down onto it on a daily basis. Well, that's all for me for today. I can just imagine, well, we're going to have some fun in the comments tonight. And I will say hello to as many people as I can. But I mean, the comments go so fast. If I miss your name, I'm really sorry. But thank you very much for joining me. And well, we will have some fun tonight. Thank you very much for listening. And may your God go with you.